The space station floated in the darkness between three suns. It was called Velar 7, and it was home to the most famous school in the entire galaxy. Students came from hundreds of different worlds to study here. They learned about science, history, and the many species that lived among the stars. Maya Chen arrived on a transport ship on a cold morning. She was 12 years old, with long black hair and brown eyes that seemed to notice everything. She carried a small bag with her things and a datapad that contained all her school information. She was the first human to ever attend the Galactic Academy. The hallways of the station were wide and bright. Strange lights floated near the ceiling, changing colors as students walked beneath them. Maya saw creatures she had only read about in books. There were the Kethari, tall beings with skin like pale stone and crystals growing from their heads. The crystals glowed different colors based on their moods. There were the Vas, who looked like giant snakes with arms and wise old faces. There were the Chixel, insect-like creatures with hard shells and many eyes. All of them stared at Maya as she walked past. She kept her head down and found her way to the registration office. A Vas administrator processed her documents and assigned her a room. The administrator's scales were gray with age, and he looked at Maya with something like curiosity. "You are the human," he said. It was not a question. "Yes," Maya answered quietly. "Your species is new to the Confederacy, only 50 years since first contact." The administrator handed her a room key. "You will find that many here do not know what to make of you. Humans are unusual." Maya nodded and took the key. She did not ask what he meant by unusual. She already knew. Her room was small but comfortable. It had a bed, a desk, and a window that looked out at the stars. Maya unpacked her few belongings and sat on the bed. She pulled out a photograph from her bag and looked at it for a long moment. Then she tucked it under her pillow and went to find her first class. Xenobiology 201 was held in a large room with seats arranged in circles around a central platform. The professor was an ancient Vas named Velthas. His scales had faded to silver, and he moved slowly, but his eyes were sharp and intelligent. He had been teaching at the academy for over 200 years. Maya found a seat in the back corner. The other students were already talking among themselves, their voices filling the room with strange sounds. Some clicked, some hummed, some made noises that Maya could not describe. A Chixel student sat near her. His shell was dark green, and his many eyes kept glancing in her direction. His name was Vrix, and he was considered one of the smartest students in the class. He leaned toward a Kethari girl named Thesha and spoke in a voice loud enough for Maya to hear. "So that is the human," Vrix clicked. "I expected something more impressive." Thesha's crystal crest glowed with soft pink light. "She is very small and soft. Look at her skin. It has no protection at all." "Humans come from a death world," Vrix said, "but they are still one of the weakest species to ever achieve space travel. No claws, no venom, no natural armor. They cannot even see in the dark." Maya heard every word. She kept her eyes on her datapad and said nothing. Professor Velthas began the lesson. He talked about the different ways species had evolved on their home worlds. He showed images of great predators from across the galaxy, the hive terrors of Chixel Prime, the crystal worms of Kethara, the void swimmers of Vas. When he came to Earth, he paused. "Humans evolved on a planet classified as a death world," he said. "High gravity, extreme temperature variations, predators on every continent, disease, natural disasters. By all logic, humans should not have survived." "But they did," Thesha said. "How?" "That is what makes them interesting," Professor Velthas answered. "They found ways to adapt, ways that are different from any other species we have encountered." Vrix made a clicking sound that was like laughter. "Different. They are weak. That is not different, that is just inferior." Some of the other students laughed too. Maya felt her face grow hot, but she did not look up. She did not speak. The lesson continued. When it ended, students began to leave. Maya gathered her things slowly, waiting for the room to empty, but Vrix and Thesha stayed behind, blocking her path. "Human," Vrix said, "I have a question." Maya looked at him. She did not speak. "On my world, the weak do not survive. They are eaten by the strong. It is the natural way." Vrix leaned closer, his mandibles spreading in what might have been a smile. "How did your species avoid being eaten?" Maya thought about the question. She thought about the long history of her people, the ice ages they had survived, the predators they had faced, the impossible odds they had overcome. "We found another way," she said quietly. "What way?" Maya did not answer. She simply walked around them and left the classroom. That night in her small room, Maya sat by the window and looked at the stars. She pulled out her communicator and typed a short message. Then she looked at the photograph under her pillow again. It showed a young girl with her arms wrapped around a large black dog. Both of them were smiling. "Soon," Maya whispered. "They just need to process your transport documents. A few more weeks." She put the photograph away and went to sleep. In her dreams, she was not alone. In her dreams, she was running through green forests with her best friend at her side. In her dreams, she was not the weak little human that everyone saw. In her dreams, she was something else entirely. The stars outside her window continued their slow dance. The station hummed with the sounds of 1,000 sleeping students. And somewhere, in a transport ship making its way across the galaxy, something with amber eyes and black fur waited patiently to be reunited with its human. The waiting would not last much longer. The weeks passed slowly for Maya. She went to her classes, she did her homework, she ate her meals alone in the corner of the cafeteria. She never complained, she never fought back. She simply existed, quiet and patient, like a small stone in a river of noise. The other students did not understand her silence. In their cultures, silence meant weakness. It meant submission. It meant that you had accepted your place at the bottom. Vrix and his friends made sure to remind Maya of her place every day. "Human," Vrix would call out when she walked past. "Did you get lost? The pets are kept in a different section of the station." "Maybe she is a pet," Thesha would add, her crystal crest glowing with cruel amusement. "Humans do look like they were designed to be owned by something stronger." The laughter would follow Maya down the hallway. She would keep walking. Her head down, her face blank. Inside, she felt the anger burning. But she had learned long ago that anger was a tool. You did not waste a tool by using it at the wrong time. Professor Velthes announced the big examination during the third week. Every student would have to give a presentation about their home world. They would have to talk about the most dangerous predator on their planet. They would have to explain how their species had survived. "This examination will count for half your grade," the professor said. "You will have 15 minutes to present. You may use holographic displays, videos, or any other visual aids you wish. The goal is to help your classmates understand the survival challenges your species faced." Vrix's mandibles clicked with excitement. "I will present the hive terrors of Chixel Prime. They are the most perfect predators in the known galaxy." "Crystal worms are more impressive," Thesha argued. "They can shatter mountains with their screams." "Void swimmers have existed for millions of years," another student added. "They swim through space itself." Everyone had something to say, everyone except Maya. "Human," Professor Velthes said, looking at her. "What will you present?" The room went quiet. Everyone turned to look at Maya. She thought for a moment. "Earth had many predators," she said softly. "I will choose one that is important to my species." Vrix made a sound of disgust. "Important? What predator could be important to humans? You have no real predators left. You killed them all or put them in cages." "That is not entirely accurate," Maya said. "Then what? Will you show us a picture of a cat?" Vrix's laughter filled the room. "Or perhaps a dog. I have read about Earth dogs. small furry creatures that humans keep as companions, very frightening. More laughter. Even some students who had been neutral joined in. Maya felt her hands tighten around her datapad, but she did not show her anger. She had learned that lesson well. "Dogs are interesting," she said quietly. "More interesting than you might think." "Interesting?" Vrick stood up from his seat and walked toward her. He was much larger than Maya, his hard shell gleaming under the classroom lights. "Let me tell you what is interesting, human. On my world, creatures like you would not last a single day. You would be food, nothing more." Maya looked up at him. Her brown eyes met his compound eyes without flinching. "Maybe," she said, "or maybe you do not understand what humans really are." Vrix leaned closer. "I understand perfectly. You are weak. Your species is weak. The only reason you are in the Confederacy is because we felt sorry for you." The bell rang, ending the class. Vrix turned away with a dismissive click. The other students filed out, still laughing and talking about the examination. Maya stayed in her seat until the room was empty. Then she pulled out her communicator and checked for messages. There was one waiting. "Transport approved. Arrival in 3 days. All documentation complete. Special clearance granted by Academy administration." Maya read the message twice. Then she smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible, but it was the first real smile she had shown since arriving at the Academy. She walked back to her room through the quiet hallways of the station. The lights had dimmed for the night cycle and most students were in their quarters. Maya liked this time. The silence felt comfortable, familiar. In her room, she sat on her bed and looked at the photograph again. The girl and the dog, frozen in a moment of happiness. 3 days, she said to the photograph. 3 days and they will understand. She thought about all the times she had been mocked, all the times she had been called weak, all the times she had been told that humans did not belong among the stars. She thought about the history of her species, the long journey from caves to cities, the countless struggles against a world that tried to kill them at every turn, the partnerships they had formed with other creatures, the bonds that had helped them survive. Humans were not strong like the Chixel. They were not armored like the Cathari. They were not ancient like the Voss. But humans had something else, something that no other species in the galaxy truly understood. They had learned to make friends with the things that could kill them. Maya put the photograph away and turned off the lights. She lay in the darkness, listening to the hum of the station around her. In 3 days, she would give her presentation. In 3 days, everyone would stop laughing. In 3 days, the quiet little human would show them what her species had really become. And nothing at the Galactic Academy would ever be the same. The day of the examination arrived. The main hall of the Academy was filled with students and teachers. Large screens hung from the walls, ready to display holographic images. The seats were arranged in a half circle around a central stage. Everyone was excited and nervous. Maya sat in her usual spot at the back. She watched as students prepared their presentations. Vrix was practicing his speech about the hive terrors. Thesha was adjusting her holographic projector. Others were checking their notes and whispering to their friends. Nobody talked to Maya. Nobody even looked at her. She was invisible as always. Professor Velthes took the stage. His silver scales caught the light as he raised his arms for silence. "Today you will show us the predators of your worlds," he said. "You will help us understand the challenges your ancestors faced. Remember, the goal is not to frighten your classmates. The goal is to educate them." He looked around the room. His ancient eyes paused briefly on Maya before moving on. "We will begin with the Chixel presentation. Vrix, you may take the stage." Vrix walked to the center of the room with confidence. His hard shell gleamed, and his mandibles clicked with pride. He activated his holographic projector, and suddenly the room was filled with the image of a massive creature. The hive terror was the size of a small building. It had 6 legs, each one ending in curved claws that could cut through metal. Its body was covered in black armor, and its head was nothing but teeth and hunger. The hologram showed the creature hunting, moving through a dark forest with terrible speed. The hive terror is the ultimate predator, Vrix said. It can smell blood from 10 miles away. It never stops hunting. It never shows mercy. On Chixel Prime, we learned to survive by building underground cities. We hid from these creatures for thousands of years until we developed weapons strong enough to fight them. The students watched in fascination. Some of them looked scared. The hive terror was truly a nightmare made real. "Any questions?" Vrix asked. "How did your species finally defeat them?" a student asked. "We did not defeat them," Vrix admitted. "We learned to avoid them. Even now, with all our technology, we do not hunt hive terrors. We simply stay out of their way." He turned off the hologram and returned to his seat. The applause was loud and respectful. Thesha was next. Her presentation showed the crystal worms of Kethara. These creatures were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They looked like giant serpents made of living crystal. Their bodies reflected light in 1,000 colors, but their screams could shatter stone and break bones. "Crystal worms communicate through sound," Thesha explained. "Their screams are not just weapons. They are a language. We Kethari developed our crystal crests to protect us from these screams, but even with our natural armor, we cannot survive a direct attack." She showed footage of a crystal worm destroying a mountain with a single scream. The students gasped. "We learned to respect them," Thesha said. "We do not fight them. We worship them as spirits of our world." More applause, more respect. The presentations continued throughout the day. Each species showed its greatest predator. Each species explained how they had survived by avoiding, hiding, or worshiping these creatures. The message was always the same. The predators were powerful. The prey species learned to fear them. Finally, Professor Velthes called the last name on the list. "Maya Chen, human, you may present." The room went quiet in a different way. Not with anticipation, but with bored curiosity. What could a human possibly show that would compare to hive terrors and crystal worms? Maya stood up slowly. She walked to the center of the stage. She carried nothing. No datapad, no holographic projector, just herself. "Where is your visual presentation?" Professor Velthes asked. "I do not need one," Maya said. Her voice was soft, but in the silence, everyone could hear her clearly. Vrix made a clicking sound of amusement. "Of course she does not need one. Humans have nothing worth showing." Some students laughed. Maya did not react. "Every species here has shown us their greatest predator," Maya said. "They have shown us creatures of claws and teeth and armor. They have shown us things that hunt in the darkness." She paused and looked around the room. "But none of you have asked the right question." "What question?" Thesha asked, her crystal crest glowing with curiosity. "You have all shown us how you survived," Maya said. "You hid, you ran, you built walls and cities and weapons. You learned to fear your predators and stay away from them." She took a deep breath. "Humans did something different." "What did humans do?" Professor Velthes asked. His voice had changed. There was something new in it, interest, real interest. Maya smiled. It was a small smile, but there was something in it that made some students uncomfortable. "We did not hide from our predators," she said. "We did not run from them. We did not worship them or avoid them." She raised 2 fingers to her lips. "We made them our friends." And then she whistled. The sound was sharp and clear. It echoed through the examination hall like a blade cutting through silk. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the main doors burst open. And everything changed. The creature that entered the hall moved like a shadow given form. It was large, much larger than any animal the students had seen from Earth. Its fur was black as the space between stars. Its muscles moved beneath its coat like water flowing over stone. Its eyes were amber gold, and they swept across the room with a cold intelligence that made several students freeze in their seats. It was a German shepherd, a military-trained protection dog, 140 pounds of bone and muscle and ancient hunting instinct. His name was Shadow. The students had never seen anything like him. They had read about Earth animals in their databases. They had seen pictures and videos, but nothing had prepared them for the reality of a live predator walking into their examination hall. Shadow moved to Maya's side and sat down. His head reached her chest. His ears were pointed forward, alert and aware. His nose twitched as he took in the scents of the room. Hundreds of different species, hundreds of different smells, and he cataloged each one in seconds. The room was completely silent. Vrix's mandibles had locked together. His compound eyes were fixed on Shadow, watching every tiny movement. Deep inside his brain, ancient instincts were screaming at him. Predator, danger, run. Thesha's crystal crest had gone dark. Her body had flooded with emergency chemicals, preparing her for fight or flight. She could not move. She could barely breathe. Professor Velthes had coiled himself tightly. His silver scales had shifted to a defensive pattern. In 300 years of life, he had faced many dangers, but something about this creature touched a fear he had not felt since childhood. Maya placed her hand on Shadow's head. The dog's tail wagged once, just slightly. "This is Shadow," Maya said. Her voice was calm and clear. "He is a German shepherd. His ancestors were wolves." She began to walk around the stage, and Shadow moved with her. Their steps matched perfectly, as if they were two parts of the same creature. 15,000 years ago, humans lived in caves. We were small. We were weak. We had no claws, no fangs, no armor. The world was full of things that wanted to eat us. She stopped and looked at Vrix. "You were right about that. Humans should not have survived." Shadow turned his head toward Vrix. The dog did not growl. He did not bare his teeth. He simply looked, and somehow that was worse. "But we did survive," Maya continued, "because we discovered something that no other species in the galaxy has ever discovered." She knelt down next to Shadow and wrapped her arms around his neck. The dog leaned into her touch, his eyes never leaving the audience. "We learned that predators are not always enemies. We learned that with patience and trust, we could form bonds with them. We could become partners." "Wolves were our first friends," she said. "They were pack hunters just like us. They were social just like us. They were loyal just like us. So we made a deal with them. We would share our food and our fire. They would share their strength and their senses." She stood up again. "Over thousands of years, wolves changed. They became dogs. They became part of our families. They protected our children. They guarded our homes. They hunted with us, traveled with us, lived with us, and died with us." Shadow's ears twitched. A student in the front row had shifted in their seat, and the dog had noticed instantly. "Shadow can hear your heartbeat," Maya said to the student. "He can smell the fear in your sweat. He knows exactly how scared you are right now." The student went pale. "He can run faster than any human. He can bite with enough force to break bones. His nose is 10,000 times more sensitive than mine. His ears can hear sounds that I will never know exist." Maya walked back to the center of the stage. "On Earth, dogs have saved millions of human lives. They find people lost in disasters. They detect diseases before doctors can. They warn us of danger before we know it exists. They go to war beside us and die protecting us without hesitation." She looked around the room at all the frightened faces. Every species here survived by running from their predators. Humans survived by making predators love us. Shadow stood up. He walked in front of Maya, positioning himself between her and the audience. It was not a threatening move. It was a protective one, natural, instinctive, a wolf guarding its pack. "This is what humans are," Maya said. We are not strong alone. We are not fast alone. We are not powerful alone, but we are never alone. She placed her hand on Shadow's back. We walk beside the things that other species fear. We have earned their loyalty over thousands of generations, and they will fight for us. They will die for us. They will never abandon us. Vrix finally found his voice. It came out as a weak click. You domesticated predators. No, Maya said. We formed an alliance with them. There is a difference. Domestication means control. Alliance means partnership. Shadow is not my servant. He is my friend, my family, my brother in all but blood. Shadow looked up at Maya. His tail wagged again. In his amber eyes there was nothing but love and trust and absolute devotion. That is what you never understood about humans, Maya said quietly. We do not conquer. We do not dominate. We connect. We bond. We turn enemies into allies and predators into protectors. She smiled, and for the first time, the students saw the human not as a weak little girl, but as something else entirely. That is how we survived our death world. That is how we reached the stars. And that is why you should never mistake our kindness for weakness. Shadow sat back down at her side. The examination hall remained frozen in silence. Nobody was laughing anymore. The silence in the examination hall lasted for a long time. Students looked at each other. Teachers whispered among themselves. Everyone was trying to understand what they had just witnessed. Professor Velthes was the first to move. He uncoiled himself slowly and approached the stage. His ancient eyes studied Shadow with new respect. The dog watched him come closer but did not react. Shadow could sense that this old creature meant no harm. In 300 years of teaching, Professor Velthes said, I have never seen a presentation like this. He turned to face the students. We have all shown our predators today. We have shown the creatures that shaped our evolution, the things that taught us fear. He paused and looked at Maya. But this human has shown us something different. She has shown us a predator that does not hunt her, a predator that protects her, a predator that loves her. He bowed to Maya. It was a deep bow, the kind that Voss only gave to those they truly respected. Full marks, he said, and my personal thanks for teaching this old teacher something new. Maya bowed back. Thank you, Professor. The students began to whisper among themselves. The fear was fading now, replaced by curiosity and something that looked like wonder. Vrix stood up from his seat. His legs were shaky and his mandibles clicked nervously. He walked toward the stage, stopping at a safe distance from Shadow. Human, he said, his voice was different now. The arrogance was gone. I have mocked you since you arrived. I called you weak. I called your species inferior. Maya looked at him calmly. Shadow's ears twitched, tracking every small movement Vrix made. I was wrong, Vrix continued. I looked at you and saw only what you lacked. I did not see what you had gained. He clicked his mandibles in what Maya now recognized as a gesture of respect. On Chixel Prime, we believe that true strength is shown through action, not words. You showed strength today, not with violence, not with aggression, but with something more powerful. What is that? Maya asked. Trust, Vrix said. You trust that creature completely, and it trusts you. That kind of bond is rare in the galaxy. Most species never achieve it. Thesha approached as well. Her crystal crest was glowing softly, the color of apology in her culture. I also owe you an apology, she said. We Kethari worship our predators from a distance. We never imagined that another species could stand beside theirs as equals. Shadow looked at both aliens. He could smell the change in them. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with something else now. Respect, acceptance. He wagged his tail slightly. He likes you, Maya said. He can tell that you are being honest. Vrix looked at Shadow with new eyes. He can tell how. Dogs have been reading human emotions for 15,000 years, Maya explained. They learned to read alien emotions in just a few generations. Shadow knows when someone is lying. He knows when someone is afraid. He knows when someone means well. She reached down and scratched behind Shadow's ears. Right now, he knows that you are both being sincere. That is why he is relaxed. The other students had gathered around the stage now. They kept their distance from Shadow, but their fear had turned to fascination. Questions came from every direction. Can he understand what you say? How does he know what you want? Does he really feel love, or is it just instinct? Maya answered each question patiently. She explained how dogs communicated through body language and sound. She showed them how Shadow responded to her commands. She let a few brave students hold out their hands so Shadow could smell them. The examination hall had transformed. What had started as a simple presentation had become something much bigger, a bridge between species, a moment of understanding. Professor Velthes watched it all with a satisfied expression. This is what education should be, he said quietly to himself. Not just facts and data, but true understanding. As the hour grew late, Maya finally called an end to the demonstration. She had one more thing to say. I want you all to remember something, she said. Humans are new to the Confederacy. We are small. We are soft. We do not have natural weapons or armor. Many of you will continue to underestimate us. She looked around the room, meeting every eye. But remember what you saw today. Remember that humans do not face the universe alone. We have allies, partners, friends who have walked beside us for thousands of years, creatures who will fight for us and die for us without question. Shadow stood tall at her side, his amber eyes glowing in the light. We have dogs, we have cats, we have horses and hawks and 100 other species who have chosen to share their lives with ours, and as we spread among the stars, we will make new allies, new friends, new bonds. She smiled, and there was nothing weak or small about her now. That is the human way. We do not conquer, we connect. We do not dominate, we cooperate. And that is why one day the galaxy will understand that the quiet ones are often the most powerful of all. She turned and walked toward the door. Shadow followed at her heel, moving in perfect harmony with her steps. At the doorway, she paused and looked back. Thank you for listening, she said, and thank you for finally seeing us. Then she was gone, the quiet little human and her wolf-born companion, walking into the corridors of the academy. Behind her, the students remained silent for a long moment. Then Vrick spoke, his voice filled with a new emotion. Humans, he said, I think I finally understand. Professor Velthes nodded slowly. The galaxy has welcomed a new species. We thought we knew what they were. We were wrong. He looked at the door where Maya had disappeared. They are not prey, they are not predators. They are something new, something the universe has never seen before. Thesh's crest glowed with wonder. What are they? The ancient Voss smiled, a rare expression for his kind. They are the bridge, he said, the species that connects all others, and I suspect that the universe will never be the same because of them. Outside in the corridor, Maya walked through the station with Shadow at her side. Students moved out of her way now, but not from fear, from respect. She was no longer invisible. She was no longer alone. She was human, and for the first time since arriving at the Galactic Academy, she felt like she was exactly where she belonged.